All right, social studies. We are talking about the Wax Museum. So what I was just telling my friends is it's going to look a lot different this year because we can't do the presentation, which is a bummer. But what I need you to do at this point in time, we're not going to start working in depth until after spring break. So up until then, I would like for you all to start thinking of who you would like to do your research on. Someone from the past, could be someone current, it doesn't matter. It just has to be someone who is real, factual. So you can't make up a fictional character. It has to be somebody who is real in our history. Luke.
So the character doesn't have to be dead?
No. The person, not character. This is not a fictional, I mean, this is real. This is a real person like you did with Martin Luther King Jr. So you have to have factual events. You have to research. And you have to dress up like them. Because who has ever been to a wax museum? Or who knows what a wax museum is?
No.
So what people do, there are museums that have wax figures of people. They look real. And so that is what you are kind of portraying. Well, you're going to be this person. You're going to dress like this person. You are going to, well, in the past, people, I don't even know, could people ask questions to the wax museum here?
Yeah.
They could. So they were talking wax figures. So there you go. Oh yeah. No. You would be the wax museum. So you would be, so let's say you're Abraham Lincoln. So you would research Abraham Lincoln. You make a big poster board with pictures and information. And then you would dress up like Abraham Lincoln and become him when people would come in. All the classes would come in and ask questions. We'll look at your work, parents, grandparents, all that fun stuff. But thanks to COVID, I don't know what it's going to look like this year. But we're still doing it.
Yay.
Yes, Gabe.
Does it have to be a famous person or is it anything?
It has to be someone that you can do research on. So yes, I would say you're not going to find a lot of information on your great uncle George. You know, I mean, yes, it does have to be someone from history. Jeremiah, definition of famous could be different than.
I have a comment.
Yes.
I know what the Wax Museum is because I've been there in second or first grade, and I know what to do.
So here, when you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure, who has seen to High Point's Wax Museum? So a lot of you who's been, yeah.
Wait, we have a wax suit?
It's just called the Wax Museum. You need to have your mask on, please, covering your mouth. Thank you. So what I need you to start thinking about what you want to be. Who you want to be. Now the Zillies they are astronauts, Sally Ryder and Neil Armstrong, so they're gone. Those people are out of the drawing. Because they told me before they left in case we did this prior to them going. So Zillies, your people are safe. So Sally Ryder, who is an astronaut, and Neil Armstrong, both of those people have been taken. And I do believe everyone has to do someone different.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't have duplicates. So don't think they're off because they told me, and because I wasn't sure when this was all going to occur, but I do know that next week I want to talk to Mrs. Symes, and then after spring break, full speed ahead, okay? So questions, other questions? I saw somebody's hands up. Olivia. Oh, I don't have details yet, because Mrs. Reed has never done the Wax Museum. So I am going to find out next week. Mrs. Symes is going to give me all the details. I cannot tell you any details, because I don't know. The only thing you can do now is figure out who you want to be. So research people that are interesting. I mean, you can go way back in time. Laura Ingalls Wilder, way back that far, even further. There's no time limit. It just has to be a real, factual person of United States history. Yes, Toby.
In first grade, when we went to math museum, I saw this girl who did one on the person who made candy.
Person who made what?
Candy.
Oh, yummy.
Yeah.
Who would that be? Person who made candy. See, there's all kinds of interesting things. You could talk about, you could be someone in politics, someone in sports, someone in music. No rapping, no rappers or people who are inappropriate. Keep it clean, keep it appropriate. People who have done things that have made our history, world history better, or American history. Yes, Owen. Machine.
Can we research in here?
Sure, you can research anywhere. You Google it, look it up on the computer, have mom and dad help you. But you have to have some ideas. You want to have someone who has a lot of information because that's going to make your life so much easier. If you pick somebody who's more obscure, who has one line of historic relevance or historic information, it's going to a lot of work for you. So make sure it's someone that has done some major things, because then you have some really cool things to do. You could be a scientist, an inventor. Owen.
Does anyone have to know the person?
Well, it has to be a real person. It has to be a factual person. So can't make it up. It has to be somebody who has been known for historic relevance or done something. Yes, Jonathan.
When you choose your person, do you is there choices or do you just pick one?
Don't believe there's choices. That I don't know. That might be something I get filled in with. That is what. But right now, I want you to come up with some ideas. That is your assignment for this, because and you have 2 weeks to try to come up with some ideas. You can make a list and then decide. After I have my meeting with this, then I will have more info too. But right now, I just think you should do some research. Is there anyone interesting in history? So that, I mean, it could be an athlete, it could be an Olympian, somebody who could be in that arena. It doesn't have to be just politics or world history. Yes?
Did they have to do something to help America or no?
Can you give me details or give me a little more description on that? Are you thinking of somebody in particular? Who? You don't have to tell me. You could write it down and let me know if you don't want to say it out loud. But the more information that is known about them, that's going to make your research a lot easier. So if you have somebody that you have a really difficult time finding information on, because you have to do a lot of research on them, and you have to dress up like them. So it's got to be someone, I would recommend choosing someone that you can find a lot of information on. Dates, events, what made them famous, what did they do? I mean, they don't have to be famous, but I mean, if you chose someone like George Washington, do you think you'd find a lot of information?
Yes.
Or if you chose Lassie the dog, do you think you'd find information on him?
No.
Oh, you would find a lot of information. He's very cute. Then you'd have to dress up like Lassie the dog. But just be mindful that it does need to be a person too. So I'm being goofy. But make sure you can find information. That is all. Scientists, inventors, doctors, politicians, athletes. There's all kinds of things you can do. So your job is to try to start formulating ideas, like the Zillies are doing, Neil Armstrong and Sally Ryder. There are other astronauts if you wanted to do an astronaut. Those are just two of many. Questions? I see so much excitement out there. I can't handle all this excitement. It's going to be fun.
Do you even have to do this?
What?
Do you have to do this?
Do you have to do it?
Yeah.
Yes, everyone has to do it.
But not writing the paper?
What?
Like writing
You have
the
to do it
paper?
all. You have to get the information. You have to make the poster boards. You have to do all of that.
Oh, so-
Yes.
What happens if you don't do it?
You have to do it. It's not a choice. It's not like something you can choose to do. This is part of your social studies grade, a big chunk of it. This isn't a choice. Everyone has to do it. I'm not giving you an option of, oh, if you want to do it, great. You don't have to. No, everyone has to do it. Just like you had to write the Martin Luther King Jr. paper. Just like you have to write the comic strips or papers. This is not a non-negotiable. You have to do it. Yes, Em.
When I was in first grade, I was really excited to do it, but now I'm really nervous.
You know what? You guys aren't going to have the huge presentation that a lot of the other kids have had to do. So I would think a lot of the nerve, and you're doing a musical this weekend. So this is piece of cake for you. So Emma and Tyson, we were talking about the Wax Museum. So what I'm asking you to start thinking about is who you might want to be for your person. It needs to be someone that has done something historically relevant for our country. I will have more information for you next week. And as I was telling your friends, it only makes your job easier if you pick someone that you can find a lot of research on. Okay, so what you're going to do is you have to dress up like this person, and you make a big poster board with all the information and pictures and information. So in the past, I am thinking because of COVID, in the past we opened up, since all the MICA centers are being used, the MICA center, I think, down maybe this one and this adjoining one, a couple of the MICA rooms were used, and we would have set up all of our stuff, and all the classes would have come down. But I am thinking that is not going to happen. Maybe we'll should have some of the classes coming here. I don't know. Everything has changed. So we'll find out more information on that. But what you need to do is figure out who you want to do. Yes, James.
Is this graded?
Yes. Friends, this is part of your social studies. Yes, it's graded. And you need to do your best. And if we start, I don't think we're going to be actually doing the presentation if we do until May. So you have a lot of time. Cool. So yes, it's graded. Yes, you have to do it. There is no getting out of this one. This is part of 3rd grade social studies. So any other questions? It will be fun. Once you start thinking, once you figure out who you want to be, and you start looking into this person, researching them, it's fun. So pick someone that you're interested in. That is key. Pick someone that you think is really awesome, and then the research becomes really fun because you're researching someone that you admire, look up to, and then the research becomes fun because you're doing something that you enjoy. That is the key, really, is to pick someone that you find interesting. That makes your research enjoyable. If you pick someone that you aren't fascinated with, then it's not going to be as much fun. Pick an athlete that you like. Someone famous, someone that makes you go, oh, that person is so awesome. Olivia.
Could you do a person on in a record book or something?
The record book. Define record book. You talking about like world records or something? I don't know if you'd have enough information. If you just look up the Guinness World Records, is that what you're talking about? I don't know if there would be enough information about someone like that. I mean, you can certainly try and see what you find fine. I'm going to find out more of the stipulations as to, but I would, again, someone that you like and someone that you can find a lot of information on. That is key. Yes, Christian?
Can you pick one of the presidents?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there'll be tons of information. Yes. Emma. Or
I
M.
think I know who I'm gonna do. Me too. Me too.
So then you can start looking things up and you can start formulating ideas. But don't say anything. Don't say it out loud. Not yet. Helen.
So the person can be alive?
The person can be alive. Christian.
How do you know if somebody has the same one as me?
Well, when we decide, then I will start asking and then I'll be writing down who you're going to have. Since we can't have duplicates, then obviously we'll know. But right now I would not say anything. I would just keep it quiet. Just think about it. Maybe you'll change your mind. We're not at the phase or the stage yet where we're going to actually say who we're going to do yet. Just start looking things up, getting ideas. Any other questions? All right. Yes, Cole.
What if you like researched a lot and then someone had the same one as you?
Let's do this. Since I have already allowed Jack and Ella to say that they're doing Sally Ryder and Neil Armstrong, if you are 100% sure you know who you want, then I can start making a list. I would suggest you thinking about it for a little bit. Going and doing some research. Finding out, is there a lot of information about this person? Because if there's not, then you don't want to do that person because it's going to make your job a lot harder. But if you have done research, which I know you have not since we have just started talking about it, unless you are 100% plus sure that you know who you want, I will be happy to start making a list. But I would suggest you start thinking about it. But yeah, if you have someone right now who you really want to do the research on, and you're really passionate about it, and you're 100% sure, then I would be more than happy to write them down. But I would suggest you think about it at least a little bit. Yes, Helen.
Is it Amelia Earhart the one who flew over and she crashed?
And you would find tons of things about her. She was very famous and did a lot of very interesting things. So that would be an example of somebody who you would have a lot of research. Jeremiah.
Martin Luther King Jr.
Well, we just did a lot of research on him. Let me think about that. I mean, he would be great, but you all did just a bunch of research on him, so it wouldn't be a really hard thing for you to do. It would just be a continuation. So I'm going to think about that. Is that what you're saying you want to do, or is that just an idea? Idea. I'm thinking since we just did a huge research paper on it, we've already done him. So I would think you want to do someone else. Let me think about it. Grant. You love Abe. Are you saying that's what you want to do? You're sure you don't want to do more research? You gotta love, I love Abe.
Who's Nate?
Abraham Lincoln, they call him Abe. And you're tall, so you'll be perfect. You just have to find the hat. You're nice and tall. You fit the bill. Grayson. Oh, guys, you don't need to tell me unless you guys 100. We just started talking about this. Do you want to take some time? And Grant, I wrote him down. If you change your mind, you can do that. But I wrote Grant as Abraham Lincoln. Okay. Now, I don't. If you really are passionate about someone, then I do want you to get who you want. But I also want you to take time to think about it. Grayson.
I'm 100% sure I want to do that person, and I want to do Michael Jordan.
Ooh.
Since I have like 3 books about him at my house.
All right. You know what? I always feel if you are passionate about someone, then you're probably not going to change your mind. So if you are feeling very passionate about this particular person, then I say go for it. Tyson.
Could we tell which one we want to do, or just?
I mean, are you very sure you want to do this? Again, you can change your mind. This is not like if I write this down, there is no changing your mind. It's written in stone. No. You can always change your mind.
Okay, I'm gonna do Thomas Jefferson.
Ooh, is that a president?
Love it. All right. Winsheen.
It's not really like what I want to do, but
Oh.
it's just a question that can you find a lot of research on George Washington?
That'd be awesome. George Washington is a spectacular individual. Our first president. What's that?
Can you find a lot of things about
You are going to find a ton about him. He was our first president. He was a general. He pretty much ran the Revolutionary War. Yes, you will find a lot on George Washington. That I have no doubt. Is that what you want to do? I love that you are doing George Washington. That is fabulous. And that's another thing, friends. It doesn't have to be, if you're a girl, you have to be a girl. And if you're a boy, you can do whatever you want. There's nothing, you might need to get a white wig.
I don't know where it gets from.
Or you can spray your hair white.
I don't have
My
any hair
can't
shampoo.
just let me spray my
You don't have what?
I don't have any hair shampoo or something.
Yeah, that's
Kristen.
Ronald Reagan. This is Cassie's favorite president. Yeah.
He was a good one.
mm-hmm.
And that's, okay, again, if you find that you do research and you find someone else, but I also want you to get who you want, so I get it. Cole.
John F. Kennedy.
We're going to have a nice contingency of presidents showing up for the Wax Museum. I love it. James.
Albert Einstein.
Ooh. You're going to have to get some crazy hair. Oh, I love Albert Einstein.
He needs a lab.
One of the biggest, if not the biggest genius in our world history of all time. Jonathan. Okay, friends. Let's be respectful. Jonathan.
I want to do Jonathan Edwards. That's your name. Well, your first name. Your first name.
Love it. These are fabulous. Luke.
Since I'm not 100% sure yet, but I want
Well, then just think about it. If you're not 100%, this is right now is if you are 100% sure and you have absolutely zero doubt. So if you, why don't you think about it, unless you want me to just write it down.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But the thing about that is if you're not, well, anyway, okay, go ahead.
Actually, I'll think about it.
Okay. Owen.
Morris.
Who?
Morris.
Morris?
Morris.
Martin.
I don't know who that is. Who is it?
A soccer player.
I mean, is he current to be right now? And you'd be able to find information about him? Do you know, how do I spell his name?
M-A-R-E.
M-A-R-E-H-E-Z.
No, H.
as long as you can find information, he's a soccer player. I mean, if for some reason I find out that that is not appropriate, I will let you know. And where is he from? What's that?
England?
See, I don't know if it has to be American. That is what I am not sure. Let me find out. That will find out for sure if this has to be American or no. So I'm going to put a question mark. So keep thinking if they need to be American, which I'm kind of wondering if it does. We'll find out, and then I'll let you know. So think of someone else. If there's an American soccer player or whatever. I mean, an athlete is fine. I'm just not sure if they have to be American, but I will find out. Yes, Jeremiah.
I'm 100% sure about this one. I forgot his first name, but his last name is Dorsey, and he was the first one to invent the doorknob.
You need, before I write, I need his name. I need the full name. So if you're going to do him, I need his full name. So that is something you can research, okay? All right, so you come with his full name, and then I will write it down. All right, a lot of good ideas. Anyone else? I'm excited. These are some great people. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 presidents already. All right, very good. So let us, oh my goodness, wow. Time flies when you're having fun. Let us get out our social studies books. Now friends, I have a list started, so there is no hurry to come up with a name. Think about it. We are not even going to begin this probably till after spring break. I am just bringing this up so you can start thinking, start researching, start figuring out who you want to do. Because quite honestly, that's not the fun part. Mrs. Reed has a mess. All right. Who, I am hoping you all skimmed and went through your book. Let's find out. What was the name of the first set of laws that the founding fathers created after the Revolutionary War? Olivia. Beautiful. Now, Olivia, was the Articles of Confederation a successful set of laws? No. It was a good start. But it didn't work. It wasn't strong enough. There were too many loopholes. There were too many aspects of it that didn't work. What was the main issue that people had after the Revolutionary War? The soldiers came home. They wanted to make money. A lot of them were farmers. What went wrong? Tyson.
The bills were too high and they got angry, so they did burn down one of the capital places.
Getting ahead of yourself, yes. So the soldiers came back from war. A lot of them were farmers. The bills or taxes were too high. Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
So they were unhappy. They were being put in jail because they couldn't pay their debts. What is a debt? What is a debt? Jonathan.
Like, you borrow money to use it, then you pay back the money.
Yes, very good. And so what was happening is the taxes kept going up and they couldn't repay their debt. So they would have to go to jail. Who is Daniel Shays? Jeremiah.
He's the one who led the rebellion.
Very good. Oh, I'm impressed. What is a republic? Oh, I mean, boy.
Republic is the president runs the government.
It's what? It is a way to run a government, but what is the key component to a republic? Does the king run the government? Do we have a king? Who runs the government, or who decides? Emma? Yes. Who chooses the representatives? Grant? This is key. If you want to understand the Constitution and the way our country runs, who votes for the representatives who then go and represent us as Wisconsinites or Iowans or Texans or Californians or Floridians? Toby? What's that? Yes, we the people. Very good. No King George III.
Yay!
Who is James Madison? We live in Madison. Who is James Madison? James. Oh, James, who lives in Madison. James Madison. There we go. Oh, because you liked his name. James from Madison. James Madison. Just kidding. That's okay. He was not president. We have not really talked about him that much, but he is on page 34 of your textbook. Olivia.
Was the delegate with the most plans?
Yes. He had a lot of ideas.
What ideas?
So for the Constitution, how the new government needs to be ran. After the Article of Confederation, things started going awry. And they wanted a sound form of government. All right, so what are the 3 branches of government? What are the 3 branches of government? What is 1? M.
Legislative?
And who is in the legislative branch of government?
The House of Representatives and the Senate?
Good. And what are their jobs? What do they do? Besides doing a lot of fighting and arguing. Go ahead.
Representative state?
Well, they do that. What is the main function of the legislative branch? Toby. They make the laws. Very good. Very good. What is another branch of government? Luke.
Judicial?
Judicial. Who is in the judicial branch of government? Go ahead, Luke.
President and Vice President?
No. Grayson.
Supreme Court Justice.
The Supreme. How many are there? McKenna. 9. This is the one branch of government that we, the people, do not elect. Who and how do the Supreme Court justices get into the Supreme Court? Who decides? They have to be nominated by whom? Cole. The president. Yes. And then it has to go to the legislative branch. And then it's voted, and then they're nominated or not, depending on how it goes for them. It's not always pretty. Is it a very high honor and position in our government?
Yes.
Why? In what way? What would you say is the key component to this question? Do they have a term limit? Meaning, are they appointed for 4 years?
No.
5 years?
No.
6 years?
No.
If a judge becomes a Supreme Court judge, how long are they a judge, Grant? Until they die, or they have to revoke their or end their job if they get sick or if they're too old. But yes, it is a lifelong nomination and commitment and appointment. It is a big deal. And there's always been and hopefully always will be 9. Our founding fathers designed it that way. They were smart. All right, we're missing one branch of government. We have done legislative and we have done judicial. What are we missing? Emmy? Executive. The executive branch. And who, before we start, what is the job of the Judicial Supreme Court? What is their job? Their main job is what? Toby? Right. If a law is broken and it's a big deal, a problem, then it goes to the Supreme Court. Now, does every infraction in the United States of America go to the Supreme Court? No. So, the executive branch is the final one. Who presides over the executive branch? Tyson.
The vice president and president.
Yes, and who is our president? Just say it out loud.
Joe Biden.
President Biden. And who is our vice president?
Kiwi. Last name.
That is so telling. Crickets. Kamala Harris. Interesting. All right, so what is the job of the executive branch? What is the job, Em?
Carries out the law.
Carries out the laws. Very good. Hey, I'm impressed. You obviously studied like I wanted you to do. All right, what is the Great Compromise? What is the Great Compromise? Now, it has something to do with the legislative branch. Something was amiss when they first started coming up with this idea. And imagine they argued, and they argued, and they argued, and they argued. So what does a compromise mean, first of all? What does a compromise mean? If you're compromising. Luke.
Means like you both want something, maybe you can work something out.
Right. It's a compromise meaning something both sides can agree on.
Yes.
So that is a compromise. What is the Great Compromise? Cole.
It divided Congress into 2 groups.
Yes. Which was one group was what? Cole.
Senate.
Senate. What was the other? Cole.
House of Representatives.
Beautiful. Very good. Slavery. Was that something that all the delegates agreed upon?
No.
No. That was one of the most conflicted and one of the biggest reasons why they were so split and there was lots of anger. What states wanted slavery to continue? Let me see. Okay, so I have this. So here is our area where how many states were there initially after the Revolutionary War, first of all? How many states? James?
13.
And they all were here, located on the Atlantic Ocean. For trade, for imports, exports, it just made it easy. All of this is yet to be discovered. So, we are talking about north, south. Did the North want slavery or did the South want slavery?
The South.
Why?
Because there was farms.
They're bigger than farms. They're plantations that grew. Do you know what kind of crops they grew in the plantations? Emmy.
Cotton.
Cotton and rice and tobacco. And they were huge. So why was slavery so important to these plantations and to plantation owners? What was the key reason they wanted to keep slavery in a law, that they could have slaves? What was the main reason, Toby? Well, why would they get more money by having a slave? Right? The slaves did all the work, but what is the key component to this? Did they get paid or not paid? No payment. Friends, we have to go. I cannot believe how late it is. You guys time flies. Friends, let me just say, I'm impressed. I can tell that you studied. So